Can you hear me?
Yes, we need a second,
Yes.
sorry.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
For right now, we have
There was an
yeah,
announcement.
we had an announcement, but now we see you, we hear you, we also see your presentation.
Perfect.
It's a bit pixelated, but we are hoping that the
Uh,
information will came through better. Now, okay, we are listening.
does it work if I do this? Sometimes that happens. I don't know. And then tell me if this is better. Do you see
Yeah,
everything?
it's basically the same, but yeah, don't worry, just begin.
Okay. I'm sorry. Anyways, hello everybody. My name is Rania Jones. I am a part of the QBL as an intern, and I work under Dr. Kurian and Dr. Murray, and I have the wonderful mentor of Dr. I, who has been helping me with my project. And then thankfully we have Messiah and Chinyemba, who is joining this project. And my project focuses on whether um exploring whether the concepts of quantum Fourier transform, or also known as QFT, would eventually be applied to Alzheimer's MRI datasets. And so the overall motivation behind the work comes from the Alzheimer's disease itself. And so one of the biggest challenges is identifying subtle changes that occur in the brain before like severe symptoms appear, right? And so the MRI already gives us a way to visualize these changes, especially in structures similar to the hippocampus. And so one of the hippocampus is known as one of the earliest regions that are affected, right? And so to study this, I've been working with different MRI data sets, coming straight from Alzheimer's Disease Neuroimaging Initiative, also known as ADNI, and I'll be referring to it as ADNI for the rest of this presentation. And ADNI provides thousands of brain scans that also retain information from the clinical settings that make it one of the largest resources available pertaining to Alzheimer's research. And a large part of my work that I've been doing is overall understanding the MRI data itself, how it's generated, the biological information it retains, and then also understanding the imaging biomarkers and which ones are important in its crucial relationship to Alzheimer's disease directly, right? And so, as you can see, the figures directly on the bottom from figures 7 to 10 show some of the MRI physics. So T1 and T2 relaxation overall describes how the hydrogen protons behave inside a magnetic field, right? And so the interactions would like create these signals that would eventually become an MRI image. Um, and the reason why it's so important to focus on the signals is because they contain these frequencies and phase information, which is traditionally analyzed through the use of classical Fourier transform, which can be found in the introduction. And this could naturally lead to also the quantum Fourier transform, which is also in the introduction and both of their representations. And so the equation shown here is the mathematical like foundation of QFT, which is essentially the quantum version of the classical Fourier transform. And the reason why this is such a exciting focal point of my project is because a classical Fourier fast Fourier transform scales roughly from O n log n, while the quantum Fourier transform theoretically would scale for about O log n squared. So this offers like an exponential computational speed up for certain problems. Now, I do want to emphasize that this project does not focus on making MRI images look better or also like creating information that isn't already there. So it's not about improving the resolution of an image, right? But more so it's focusing over the question of whether these future quantum computers, if we develop them in the future, could provide a more efficient way to analyze the enormous amount of information that's already contained in the MRIs that we use to detect Alzheimer's disease, right? And so in these Alzheimer's data sets. In the framework section, you'll be able to see how I'm beginning to connect the fields by starting with the ADNI MRI scans and then identifying the Alzheimer's biomarkers and then exploring how the information might be eventually like represented as a quantum system. And so you're able to see that because the block spheres that I also included in this presentation provide a visualization of individual qubits. And so unlike the classical bits, which can only exist at the 0 or 1, qubits can actually exist in the superposition of both states simultaneously. And so the reason why I included the diagrams is to help me and also my audience develop and build an understanding of how MRI information could eventually be encoded into these quantum states before applying the algorithms like QFT, right? And so the MRI images that I have in my preliminary findings on the right includes and highlights several of the major Alzheimer's biomarkers that I've been studying, including the hippocampal atrophy, the cortical thinning, the ventricle enlargement, and then the white matter hyperintensities. And so you're able to see it highlighted accordingly from figures 11 all the way to 15. And so far my work has been focusing on the understanding and comprehension behind the ADNI data sets, the MRI signal formations, the Alzheimer's biomarkers, and then the mathematical foundations behind QFT through the use of the Kiani article. And then now my next step is being able to move from theory into the implementation of what I've been learning by building these quantum circuits I've been focusing on and applying QFT algorithms, hopefully to quantum compatible like representations of the MRI data. So thank you so much. I'd be happy to answer any questions.